reached any agreement to arm the rebels, although she says that that would not be precluded by the terms of the UN resolution. Joining me now is Senator Joe Lieberman, who chairs the Homeland Security Committee and serves on the Armed Services Committee. Senator, we've heard talk today that there are at least flickers of al-Qaeda elements in some of the opposition groups, but not what we would call hard evidence, at least what we're hearing from those testifying on the Hill. What is your understanding about who these opposition leaders are and whether or not a vacuum could be created where al-Qaeda and other elements could gain root?
Well, I think the best way to make Libya into a country where al-Qaeda could gain a foothold would be to tolerate a long-term stalemate there or a civil war. So the best way to keep al-Qaeda out is for Gaddafi to go and the Libyan people to have a chance to elect their own government. We know a lot about the people who the freedom fighters, the opposition to Gaddafi, have chosen to lead them, and they're very reputable and I think trustworthy people. Do we know everything about everybody in the opposition to Gaddafi? No, we don't. But I thought Secretary Clinton was right to the point just now when she said we don't have any evidence of al-Qaeda or such groups actively being involved in the opposition in Libya. And I tell you, my feeling is Gaddafi's got to go. And there's only one alternative to Gaddafi. That's the opposition, the Free Libya movement. And it is that group that we should be supporting right now, quickly.
From all the reporting from our own Richard Engel, from Eric Schmidt in today's New York Times, the massive military might that is now being brought in, the Warthogs and others, the anti-tank artillery, clearly this has gone beyond just protecting civilians, has it not? We are involved in a much more extensive military operation than the President and others have acknowledged.
Well, all of what we're doing certainly is protecting civilians. But if anybody thought when they read that language in the United Nations resolution, and it does say take all necessary measures to protect the civilian population of Libya, if anybody thought that would be a kind of passive defensive action, they were obviously wrong. And of course, I'm glad we're doing what we're doing. It may be for diplomatic reasons that we're not describing it exactly, but the world can see what we're doing. We are striking at Gaddafi's forces in a way that clears the path for the opposition to Gaddafi to make progress as they have. Not only, as the President said quite correctly, to his credit last night, did the coalition and now NATO involvement stop a massacre in Benghazi that definitely would have occurred. We've allowed the opposition forces to Gaddafi to now move west in a very assertive way. But General Carter Ham, the American general who heads our Africa Command, has been in charge of all our activities in Libya, now turning over to NATO, said yesterday quite correctly that the progress that the opposition to Gaddafi has made is significant but fragile, because most of it has depended on the support from the air that the U.S. and our allied governments have given them.
You're not suggesting that we should have ground forces involved if this becomes a prolonged stalemate?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I mean, there are ground forces in Libya. It is the opposition forces. I do feel very strongly that we should join France and Qatar and recognize the Transitional National Council, the Free Libya movement, and I also believe that we should arm them. In other words, there are anti-Gaddafi boots on the ground, but they're not very well armed or organized, and I think the world, to protect the civilian population, as the UN resolution said, ought to better arm the opposition to Gaddafi as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much, Senator Joe Lieberman. Right now, President Obama is on his way to